Hello everybody and welcome back to my learning space, and welcome to NTYILO part 2, talking about chord substitutions and what kind of substitutions you can add to a simple or relatively simple chord progression we find in NTYILO, which is a 1-6-2-5-1, at least in the A section. What kind of chord substitutions can you use? Well, the first one I'm going to be talking about and sharing with you is the idea of borrowing from the relative minor. The second one that I'm going to be sharing is using different tensions in dominant chords, and also adding secondary dominant chords that will give you a nice tension and release when you're approaching certain chords. So, borrowing from relative majors and minors. What you heard me play in the beginning was this. This E flat major is actually a borrowed chord from the relative major. How do we know keys that are related? Well, E flat major is related to C major by virtue of it being a minor third away. When we have chords that are minor thirds away, there's a relationship that they share. And we also know that music theory tells us that every major chord has a relative minor. So for instance, if we take the key of E flat major, the relative minor is found on the 6th degree over here. So the relative minor of E flat major would have been C minor, but in this case we're working with a C major chord. So it's safe to say that we could actually borrow from from E flat major, or we could even borrow from G flat major, or even A major. When you're substituting chords, you want to make sure that your chord substitutions and reharmonizations work with the melody. It's not clashing with the melody. So in this case, I'm using E flat major. And here, when I go to the G7, I'm adding a tension of a flattened 13. We can also call it a sharp 5 because it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 raised by a half step. So you could make the G7 a G sharp 5. Then when I went to chord 3, I did. And here I'm making it a minor 2, 5, 1, because essentially this 3, 6 is approaching D minor. I do have videos on this. For minor key centers or chords, which will be D minor here that we are approaching, these types of chords are approached by a minor 2, 5, which comes in the shape of 2 half diminished and 5 altered. So that will be E half diminished, and here what I did was, so I went da, da, da. And here what I did is this I'm just making this A7 a suspended chord, because technically, theoretically, it should just be, you can make it we can just call it A7. But again, with a 2-5 chord, with a minor 2-5, theoretically, we should have A7 here. Now let me quickly talk about this A7, because in the last video, I made it A minor. That is what is natural to the key of C major, right? But now coming to this thing of secondary dominance. Secondary dominance are exactly that. They do not function in a primary way where we would find chord 5 to 1, right? In the key of C. But now, if we add another dominant, let's make this A7, okay? This dominant is taking us to another non-primary chord, a secondary chord of D minor. This is just the 5 of 2 or the 5 of D minor, and I'm adding the sharp 5 there as well. This is why it's called a secondary chord, because it's not the 5 of the home key, but the 5 of a key, but the 5 of a chord that's within the key, in this case chord 2, which is D minor. So we have here I altered the A7 to a sharp 5, which is perfectly doable. Could also add a flat 9. How to know which tensions to use? You use tensions that are derivatives of the key that you are in. So this 2-5, this 2-5 is coming actually from D harmonic minor. That's where I'm taking this 2-5. And in D half diminished, I have these, in D harmonic minor, I have these tensions available for me to use, as well as this chord. And you'll hear that it resolves really well to it as well. And then we come to, right, this is just a G minor chord, root 7, 3rd, 5, and I've added the 9th in there as well. This will be a normal C7, but I think what I did in the intro was added a sharp 11. Can also add the flat 9 as well. Another tip I'm going to give you when choosing tensions is use your ear. Your ear will tell you exactly what should, and 9 times out of 10 you probably know what sounds right and what doesn't. So don't only rely on your visual, because the keyboard can be a really visual instrument, which is a good and a bad thing. But use your ear as well. Don't just go by the fact that we're taking tensions from the key, but also what sounds cool. So, and I quite like the sound of flat 9 here as well, but I also like the sound of sharp 11 or flat 5. So that's something you can add. I'm also adding sharp 11 to this B flat chord, B flat 7 chord. Why not add a flat 9 here? It gives us a nice diminished sound. Make this a C major 6 chord, because why not? The melody is here on top. And if you make it a C major 7 chord, it might, you know, create a cluster that perhaps you were not looking for. So I'll make it a C major 6. So then we go to the borrowed chord. Second part of NTYILO is chord 2, is the B section. Here I can add a flat 9 as well. Rather than staying there, we can actually walk up the scale. So let me show you what I mean. This is something that you might find useful when you are sitting on a major chord for a while. There's a flat 9. Here I'm adding this 2, 5, 1 again to the 2. And this that I'm doing here is just the passing step of C major bebop. So we've got bebop major scale. So if I have That's just a nice little inflection to use when you're playing. So guys, the best thing to do is take some of these ideas that I've shown you and use them not only in this song, but employ them in repertoire that you already know. That's the only way you'll become fluid in them. Also take them through the keys. I hope you found this video useful, and I'll see you again in the next one. Bye.